Hi guys, so my name is Dumebi. I am 29 years old and I've had 2 quarter-life crises by now. Yeah, you have it apparently multiple times, maybe, but usually it happens between the age of 25 and 33. But it's just really because of societal pressures that we've put on ourselves or that has been put on us that we start to ask ourselves questions like, who am I? What am I doing here? Is there something I'm meant to be doing now? Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? And if I'm not at the right path, how do I get on the right path? Why am I so lost? These are questions that come, and I don't think these questions are bad because they help you find who you actually are. And asking yourself all these questions like, what do I like? What don't I like? Would really help you make decisions on what you want to do going forward. One of the major things I feel like we should put in our hearts and remember is try new things, because if you don't find out what you don't like, then how do you know what you actually like? Society says that by now I should have had a husband, a house, beautiful kids, and by God's grace I will have that someday. But I've decided to throw all expectations into the trash and find out who I am and why I'm here and what I'm meant to do in this life. And I know one of the major things that my parents always told me is we're put on life to help people and impact people's lives. And when I reflect on the things that have been changing in my life, like sometimes it feels like nothing is changing. And one of my friends, she told me, she's like, you might feel like your life isn't changing, that things are remain the same, but you have been changing. And for me, that was a very life-changing statement to hear that. Like, I have been changing all along. Something has been happening in my life beyond what I could imagine with the decisions I was making each day. And it's just really encouraging to know that we are moving forward. It's just like when you're watching a child, they grow really fast and you don't realize how fast they've grown until you've seen the time, but all along they've been growing incrementally, and then one day you're like, oh my god, you're so tall. Yes, but then they've been growing like little inches by inches, but just things like that. So growth happens even when we can't see it. That's what I would say. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is comparison. So a lot of times, good. So I went to Marshall's and I was gonna buy 2 bags, and I think you can see the reflection on my glasses. Okay, so I went to Marshall's and I was going to buy 2 bags, one brown bag and one black bag that had like girly designs that I really love with like cherries and flowers. And I got both bags, but I realized I didn't like the brown bag as much. But not because the brown bag wasn't beautiful, because I gave myself some time. So I bought the bag and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back and change it. I'm going to get a better bag that I like equally as much as the black bag with cherries. But then I went to the car and I looked at the brown bag just by itself. And I'm like, this is a nice bag. This is a very nice bag, but I couldn't see the beauty of the bag because I kept comparing it to the black bag with cherries, like side by side. And that's one thing that has been happening in my life because it was revealed to me by God. So it was then I realized that I was doing the same thing in my life. Like right now, I have left social media for a bit just so that I can focus on finding out more things I like without influences from people. All this while, I really love social media because I learn a lot from it. It's kind of like watching people that are kind of like my big sister, because I don't have a big sister, and learning from people's lives have really helped me be better. But I started to find myself comparing myself to them. And it's just like the bag. So this brown bag is fine by itself, but we keep putting it by this black bag with cherries. And it's time for me. I'm taking off my glasses for this. It's time for us. It's time for us to start looking at the brown bag by itself. That's the message. So our life is this brown bag. Start looking at your brown bag by itself. Stop looking at the black bag with cherries and focus on how you can improve your life. And one thing I have been doing is focus in on who created me. So I didn't come here by myself. Life is not a mistake. And God has a reason that He placed me here. He placed me in this town. He placed me in this city. He placed me in my family. And I'm trying to make sure I figure that out. So one thing I know for sure is we're here to know God and then make Him known. And you can't really tell people about God if you don't know Him for yourself. So that's where I've been on the journey of finding who God is. So I have been using the app, the Bible app. Right now I'm using a plan called the Bible Recap, and I'm really trying to learn more about God. I've never read the Bible on its own, and I really want to know, even from stories that I have heard before, I'm familiar with, who God is. And I've been praying like, God, please reveal yourself to me. And so far I'm in Exodus and I've seen God in a whole different way. There's so many times I have read Genesis and I'll usually stop at Leviticus, but now by the grace of God I was able to read Leviticus, not this year yet, but like a previous year, but I still stopped at Leviticus. But this year I'm going to go past that and read and keep reading. And what I love about this plan is that it's chronological, so it's not going to be exactly how the Bible is usually. So I'm very, very excited to go on this journey, learn more about myself, learn more about who God is, because the more I know about God, the more I know about myself. I think of Elizabeth in the Bible and just really how she was waiting for a child for a very long time. In fact, I'm sure they've given up, and they were God's children, her and I forget his name, Zachariah, her husband, have been waiting for a long time, and they've been serving God all their life. And this child came later in life, but it turns out he had to come at the same time as Jesus, because he was going to be a forerunner for Jesus, to tell people that Jesus is coming, and to also, baptize Jesus and all the things that he had to do before Jesus came, so people could be, prepared for Jesus coming. So the timing was very important. God couldn't just have brought this child to her at the beginning, the child having too old by then to even do what he was meant to do. And I think of that in my life. Like, so many things may look like a delay or look like it's taking time to come to pass, but God really has a plan and a timing for everything. And just like Elizabeth, who had to wait, I am prepared to wait until God says, this is the time. And I can never lose out by waiting on God, because his plans are way better than mine. So that is my plan for this year. And I hope that this encourages you. Wait, I want to make sure I said everything to you. Hey girl. So they say that comparison is a thief of joy. But what happens when that comparison becomes a source of joy? Are we happy that other people are also seemingly behind, instead of cheering them on and wanting them to succeed as well? I think of when we have an exam where we may not have done so well, and then you check and every other person has also failed and gotten even lower scores than you, or the same, and it just gives you a sense of, I'm not the only one, and you suddenly start feeling better. And recently I realized that this is also not a great thing. I've also decided, and I hope you do too, to cheer people on, even when it looks like things in my life are not going the way people would think is going well. Cheering people on, knowing that God has my back. He's never late. and we are the only ones that are impatient. Time is actually a construct to him. Time doesn't exist to God, and he has no limits. He can restore everything in a day or even an hour. Like, everything can change. So let's just trust him and hold on to him. I hope that this encourages you, and if I have more to say, I'll share later. But for now, this is it. Have a wonderful day, and I pray that you find yourself and know that feeling lost is not a bad thing. It's really just pointing you out to see that, maybe you need to do something different, or maybe it's time to make a change. But no matter what, you can always trust that God is in control and that everything is working out for your good. Bye. Yeah, God is the only one helping us from going crazy. Okay.